Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Israelite Advanced Bible Study of the 8th of March, 2022. I had went over some stuff in First Samuel and Judges. It's by Gilgal, Gilgal is place, and I was going to put some more emphasis on the importance of it, and a lot of things that surround it. That'll be the topic for discussion later on in class. I'm asking everybody to like and share and subscribe to Prophets of Awakening channel and hit the notification button if you can. This is a non-Messianic channel if you deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. The Tanakh is the Old Testament, the so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the 35 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses on Mount Sinai by our Redeemer, the Lord of Hosts. So shalom and welcome everyone to Prophets of Awakening channel, and welcome to our Israelite Advanced Bible Study. We're going to do our moment of silence, prayer, songs, current events, and then a little need to know information. Then we'll Q&A and go into the topic. So with that being said, we're going to read a prayer. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto thee. Therefore we come before thee at this hour, seeking thy face, looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee as thy servants David and Solomon and Samuel and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before thee in truth and in righteousness and in the rightness of heart. Give unto us, O Lord, an understanding heart, that we may discern between good and bad, for you possess the power to turn us, O Lord. For we desire to walk after thee, O Lord, keep your commandments and your testimony and your statutes with all our heart and soul, and to perform the words of this covenant that was written down by your prophets. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon thy people. Hear our plea, hear and do, O Lord, and hide not thy face from us any longer, for we need you so very much at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay. I'll read a psalm. Okay. I'm gonna read Psalm 128. It's rewards for faithfulness. Blessed is everyone that feareth the Lord, and walketh in his ways. For thou shalt eat the labor of thine hands. Happy shalt thou be, and it shall be well with thee. Thy wife shall be as a fruitful vine by the sides of thine house, thy children like olive plants round about thy table. Behold, that thus thou shalt the man be blessed that feareth the Lord. The Lord shall bless thee out of Zion, and thou shalt see the good of Jerusalem all the days of thy life. Yea, thou shalt see the children, thy children's children, and peace upon Israel. Okay. These are short songs. This is Psalms 128. It's a reward of faithfulness. Yeah, anything sound good? Anybody you want to talk about?
Verse 1, blessed is everyone that feareth the Lord, that walketh in his ways. That really stood out to me.
Okay. Yeah, he put some emphasis on it because he came back and mentioned it again in verse 4. It said, behold, that thus thou shall the man be that feareth the Lord. Is there something?
Yes.
And if you notice, like verse 6, all our forefathers before the flood, they was able to see their children, and children's children. It says 6, yea, thou shalt see thy children's children, and peace upon Israel. Is there something? And that's what Jerusalem means, city of peace. Okay. So with that being said, We're gonna do some current events. Anybody got any current events?
These gas prices steady going up, and I don't think it's gonna slow down either.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they pass hyperinflation.
right. In some places, I was watching on ABC News. It was saying it was $6.99.
Yeah, California, I think. I know California, one of them, I think.
Right. I missed where it was at, but it was saying that most prices, is no less than $4.70 right
Right,
now.
right. Yeah, I saw a video similar to that. It said Chicago, New York, it's pretty much those metropolitan areas. But I know it said Chicago, New York, and I think Washington D.C. Where the highest prices is at.
And I'm pretty sure California is up there because
Right.
they're
Yeah, I know
already
California.
expensive, right?
Yeah, in California too.
Right. And New York is lifting its mask mandate. I see following along with New Jersey. And
Right,
I think California is lifting in some places also.
right. Is that something? All of a sudden.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I got a couple of right here I'm gonna share. Can you see that?
Yes.
Imports of Russian oil and gas and energy. That means Russian oil will no longer be acceptable at U.S. ports, and the American people will deal another powerful blow to Putin's war machine. This is a move that has strong bipartisan support in Congress and, I believe, in the country. Americans have rallied to support the Ukrainian people and made it clear we will not be part of subsidizing Putin's war. We made this decision in close consultation with our allies and our partners around the world, particularly in Europe, because a united response to Putin's aggression has been my overriding focus, to keep all NATO and all of the EU and our allies totally united. We're moving forward this band, understanding that many of our European allies and partners may not be in a position to join us. The United States produces far more oil domestically than all the European countries combined. In fact, we're a net exporter of energy. So we can take this step when others cannot. But we're working closely with Europe and our partners to develop a long-term strategy to reduce their dependence on Russian energy as well. Our teams are actively discussing how to make this happen, and today we remain united.
Okay.
The Forever Battery, a secretive new
There's some.
Remain united in our purpose, to keep pressure mounting on Putin and his war machine. This is a step that we're taking to inflict further pain on Putin. But there will be cost as well here in the United States. I said I would level with the American people from the beginning. And when I first spoke to this, I said defending freedom is going to cost. It's going to cost us as well in the United States. Republicans and Democrats understand that. Republicans and Democrats alike have been clear that we must do this. Over the last week, I've spoken with President Zelensky several times to hear from him about the situation on the ground and to consult and continue to consult with our European allies and about U.S. support for Ukraine and the Ukrainian people. Thus far, we've provided more than $1 billion in security assistance to Ukraine. Shipments of defensive weapons are arriving in Ukraine every day from the United States. And we, the United States, are the ones coordinating the delivery of our allies and partners of similar weapons, from Germany to Finland to the Netherlands. We're working that out. We're also providing humanitarian support for the Ukrainian people, both those still in Ukraine and those who have fled safely to a neighboring country. We're working with humanitarian organizations to surge tens of thousands of tons of food, water, and medical supplies into Ukraine. and with more on the way. Over the weekend, I sent Secretary Blinken to visit our border between Poland and Ukraine and to Moldova to see what the situation was firsthand and report back. General Milley, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of our Defense Department, was also in Europe, meeting with his counterparts and allies on NATO's eastern flank to reassure them, those countries bordering Russia, NATO countries, that we will keep our NATO commitment, sacred commitment of Article 5. Vice President Harris is going to be traveling to meet with our allies in Poland and Romania later this week as well. I've made it clear the United States will share in the responsibility of caring for the refugees so the costs do not fall entirely on the European countries bordering Ukraine. And yesterday I spoke with my counterparts in France, Germany, and the United Kingdom about Russia's escalating violence against Ukraine and the steps that we're going to take together with our allies and partners around the world to respond to this aggression. We are enforcing the most significant package of economic sanctions in history, and it's causing significant damage to Russia's economy. It has caused Russian economy to frankly crater. The Russian ruble is now down to 50%, by 50% since Putin announced his war. One ruble is now worth less than one American penny. One ruble is less than one American penny. And preventing Russia's central bank from propping up the ruble and to keep its value up. They're not going to be able to do that now. We cut Russia's largest banks from the international financial system, and it's crippled their ability to do business with the rest of the world. In addition, we're choking off Russia's access to technology like semiconductors that are and sap its economic strength and weaken its military for years to come. Major companies are pulling out of Russia entirely without even being asked, not by us. Over the weekend, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, they all suspended their services in Russia, all of them. Joining a growing list of American and global companies from Ford to Nike to Apple, they've suspended their operations in Russia. The U.S. Stock Exchange has halted trading of many Russian securities. The private sector is united against Russia's vicious war of choice. The U.S. Department of Justice has assembled a dedicated task force to go after the crimes of Russian oligarchs. And we're joining with our European allies to find and seize their yachts, their luxury apartments, their private jets, and all their ill-begotten gains to make sure that they share in the pain of Putin's war. These, by the way, are giant yachts. You put some of them in your press. I mean, some of them are, I think I read one was over 400 feet long. I mean, this is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The decision today is not without cost here at home. Putin's war is already hurting American families at the gas pump. Since Putin began his military buildup on Ukrainian borders, just since then, the price of gas at the pump in America went up 75 cents. And with this action, it's going to go up further. I'm going to do everything I can to minimize Putin's price hike here at home. In coordination with our partners, we've already announced that we're releasing 16 million barrels of oil from our joint oil reserves. Half of that, 30 million, is coming from the United States. And we're taking steps.
Okay. Any comments on that? Okay, so he said that it's gonna be repercussions for what they're doing over there. The sanctions is gonna have repercussions over in America. So he's telling them to get ready for that. Let's look at some of these repercussions, a couple of them.
Ukraine is at war with Russia. We know it. And we're sitting thousands of miles away from Kiev, watching the news on TV and mobile phones, thinking, thank God, it is not happening to us. Well, I bear bad news. This war, ladies and gentlemen, is bleeding all of us. Do you have a car at home? What does it run on? Oil or gas, I'm guessing. Taking that car out will become more expensive, courtesy the war in Ukraine. You see, nearly 12% of the world's oil comes from Russia. It is among the 3 top players in the oil market, and this country is now at war. On a normal day, Russia would export nearly 5 million barrels of crude oil. Now that the Kremlin is at war, what happens to those shipments? Goes without saying, they're affected one way or the other. Next question. What happens when Russian oil stops entering the international market? The demand and supply equation goes for a toss. The market is already dreading this. And this is the result. Crude oil is hovering around $100 a barrel. The day Russia invaded Ukraine, oil touched $105 a barrel. That was the highest jump in 8 years. Soon that record was broken. Now you and I do not buy Brent crude. So why should we bother about it? I will tell you why. When refineries start paying more for oil, they charge more from the distributor. The distributor charges more from the petrol pump. And the next step is you. You end up paying more at the petrol pump. And this is just one part of the oil story. When oil prices jump, transport becomes expensive. Running a car, truck, or flying an aeroplane becomes expensive. The effect is cascading, meaning everything becomes expensive. Your fruit seller will start charging you more because he paid more to the supplier, who in turn shelled out more money to bring the fruit from the warehouse to the fruit seller. Moral of the story, when oil becomes expensive, everything becomes expensive. From your local fruits to your imported goods. Next question. How expensive exactly? Let's talk about India. The Reserve Bank of India says every $10 rise in crude prices adds about 0.5% to inflation. Basically, the devastation of Ukraine means inflation for you. Every bullet fired in Ukraine adds to the rising price of Brent crude. Why? One, the market is uncertain. How badly this war will disrupt oil supplies, we do not know yet. Two, the war has isolated Russia. There is no communication confirming that Russia's oil exports will be unaffected. Three, sanctions. Every bullet fired adds to sanctions on Russia. As we speak, Russia's banks have been sanctioned. Their assets abroad have been frozen. Some of these banks have also been cut off from SWIFT. It stands for the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications, SWIFT. It is basically a secured interbank messaging system. The West has removed Russian banks from it, leaving Russian banks handicapped and with no way to communicate securely with banks outside of Russia. Will this affect oil supplies? Well, here's what experts say. While the Russian energy market has not been sanctioned yet, all other restrictions placed on Russia are likely to reduce the amount of Russian oil flowing into the world market. Number four, the industrial boycott of Russia. Western companies are offloading their stakes in Russian oil companies. British energy giant BP, for example, has offloaded its near 20% stake in Russia's state-owned oil company Rosneft. Then there is Equinor. The Norway-based energy company said it would start divesting from its Russian joint ventures. Now, none of this is going too well with the market. The reactions are strong. Oil is shooting through the roof. India imports 80% of its oil. Oil has been at an average of 95 rupees per litre for the last week. Experts say it could shoot up 5%. 12 to 20% in the worst case scenario. Whatever the number, an imported inflation is what this war will mean for you. A survey polled 27,000 Indians from 361 districts. 42% of respondents said they will not be able to tolerate an increase in oil prices. They said they'll be forced to cut down on discretionary spending. The situation will be worse for Europe. European countries depend heavily on Russia for gas. To put it in numbers, nearly 40% of Europe's gas comes from Russia. A lot of these pipes run through Ukraine. A war between these two countries is bound to disrupt supplies. Something we've not spoken about so far, Ukraine's role in the energy market. Did you know Ukraine has the second biggest known oil reserves in Europe? It remains unexploited. The situation will become dire if the West sanctions Russia's energy market. That would mean cutting off nearly 10% of oil supply, crude oil supply. What are
Okay. Any comments on that? Like I said, that's the whole purpose of him. One of the reasons him attacking Ukraine. They trying to bring America to his knees. So they had to know that from what happened in 2014, they was going to bring the sanctions. So he had to know that. But there's a bigger picture. You know, they already see we even went through a pandemic for 2 years and all the other chaos is going on here. The countries at a divide. And so this is, like Biden said, there's going to be repercussions to this. Yeah. Got some need to know information right here. Okay.
The global food crisis continues to get worse by the day. On top of the severe disruptions caused by the confrontation between Russia and Ukraine on food supply chains, Chinese authorities are warning that the world is about to experience an extensive shortage of grains, as winter weather conditions are said to be the worst in history this year in China, which could lead to the destruction of millions of acres of grain crops at a time that global prices are already at record highs, while freight and shipping rates are soaring again and supplies are getting tighter and tighter. But before entering today's discussion, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. In a recent statement, Chinese President Xi Jinping warned that global food markets are about to face a massive shock as the conflict between Russia and Ukraine intensifies, and this year's harvest might get impacted by the worst winter weather on record. For that reason, she said that China is no longer relying on exports to ensure its food security. The Chinese leader highlighted that food security is now the top national priority, while speaking to national advisors at the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. He said, "Vigilance in food security must not slacken. We must not think that food ceases being an issue after industrialization, and we cannot count on international supplies to solve the problem. We must plan ahead," he continued, "by adhering to the principles of domestic production and self-reliance while ensuring an appropriate level of imports and technology-backed development." His speech came as China's Minister of Agriculture and Rural Affairs, Tang Rejian, reported to Reuters that the condition of the country's winter wheat crop is extremely worrying, raising concerns about grain supplies in the world's biggest wheat consumer. Speaking to reporters on the sidelines of the Chinese regime's annual political meeting, Tang said that heavy rainfall delayed the planting of nearly one-third of the normal wheat acreage. A survey of the winter wheat crop taken before the start of winter found that the amount of first and second grade crop was down by more than 20 percentage points, Tang revealed. Not long ago, we went to the grassroots to do a survey, and many farming experts and technicians told us that crop conditions this year would be the worst in history, he added. This year's grain production indeed faces huge difficulties, Tang stressed. Amid a slowdown in domestic food production, China is now scrambling to secure its food supply. The shortages continue to spread across the nation. The country is currently the world's largest importer of food, and Ukraine was one of its biggest suppliers of grains. In essence, the agriculture minister's comments underscore concerns not only about China's, but also about global grain supplies, given that Russia and Ukraine together account for 30% of wheat exports.
Okay.
Exports that might never enter global markets this year. If farmers in Ukraine don't start planting anytime soon, there will be a huge crisis for food security. If Ukraine's food production falls in the coming season, the wheat price could double or triple, said the Dutch national, who has been farming for 2 decades in Cherkasy, 200 kilometers south of Kiev. Already, wheat prices in China have reached another record this week, aggravating existing domestic supply worries. Globally, the price of wheat surged to 14-year highs and is expected to continue to climb as the strife escalates. Since February, wheat prices were already on the rise, jumping 38% on that month alone, and around 75% so far this year. In a recent analysis, economists with the Financial Times explained that a food crisis is fast spreading all across the globe as, quote, Ukrainian wheat shipments grind to a halt, unquote, noting that ports on the Black Sea have come to a virtual standstill. As a result, wheat prices have soared to record highs, overtaking levels seen during the food crisis of 2007-2008. The world is going to have to find different suppliers, and all that means even higher prices, highlighted Joseph Glauber, former chief economist at the U.S. Department of Agriculture and a senior fellow at agricultural policy think tank IFPRI. And on fertilizer exports, another major grain producer decided to halt exports to protect domestic supplies. Hungary, one of Europe's most grain-rich nations, announced that it would immediately stop all its grain exports. The movers sparked chaos in commodity markets as fears of a global food crisis continued to grow. The escalation of the conflict is now putting markets into serious turmoil. The Agriculture Market Information System said in a report released yesterday. Any serious disruption of production and exports from these suppliers will no doubt drive up prices further and erode food security for millions of people. According to the United Nations, the whole situation is adding immense pressure on many countries whose food supply chains were already struggling to recover from the impacts of the virus health crisis. The latest disruptions are poised to make inflationary pressure even worse, it said. Experts are cautioning about the particularly dire consequences in countries that have been dealing with widespread shortages of food staples over the past 24 months, where millions of people are already suffering from or at risk of food insecurity. David Beasley, Executive Director of the UN's World Food Program, highlighted that the confrontation between Russia and Ukraine could take the global hunger crisis to levels beyond anything we've seen before. This is not just a crisis inside Russia or Ukraine, said Beasley. This is going to affect all supply chains, and particularly the cost of food.
Okay. Any comments on that? Yeah, like I said, it's all planned. It's all being planned. You know, every time you look up, there's something going on in China or Russia pertaining to America. Okay.
And they're going to continue to stick together.
Oh, yeah, but they're acting as if they ain't. But you can see that there's a concerted effort to bring this place down.
Right.
Yeah. And it's other people, you know, it's other people they tighten the rope up on, but the objective is bring this place to its knees. And like I said before, it's already been prophesied if you're paying attention. Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna open it up for some Q&A. Anybody got any questions or comments about something that they came across? They want to lay it out here so we can deal with it.
I listened in a little bit on a discussion that a gentleman was having, and he was saying that he thinks that it's time for the Israelites, the Christians, and the Muslims to pull together. What are your thoughts on on that? He was saying that he thinks that's the only way that we're going to survive this, situation that we're getting ready to get into, because times are just going to get, harder. It's not going to get, any better for us.
Right. Yeah. Just so it's kind of ironic that you asked that question, because I was watching a video last night, and and like I said, I gave it to people on Prophet of Awakening. It's Isaiah 63, judgment upon Edom. So this judgment in Isaiah 63 is prophesied by, it came from heaven, came from the Lord of hosts. So it's going to come to pass. So where everybody's thinking there's going to be peace and and all this stuff. We entering into judgment. Is what we entering into. We just it's not as ain't no when you start talking about judgment, ain't no ain't no coming together because people then committed all kind of lewd sins, and especially they didn't abused and neglected Lord of host people. So he come and bring judgment on them, and these Arabs and these Christians are two of the major players involved in it. So they looking for some kind of peace or some kind of coming together when it ain't gonna happen. Because like I said, we already entered that phase where judgment is coming, and that judgment is gonna free his people. It's already been prophesied. Okay, you can't do all the wicked stuff they done done and then expect to get good out of it, and don't expect you're gonna get repercussions. The Most I say, what you sow, you're gonna reap.
Right, right.
Yeah. So that's what's coming. Reaping. Okay. Yeah. So I'm always like I said, every chance I get, I'm trying to show where because you got so many. The people that we've been dealing with, Edom became intermingled and intertwined with Japhet, and that's how you get Edom. And these people are wicked. And Most High told us to stay away from them. And so, with that being understanding, I showed you how our book and our culture was centered around the books and the information that our forefathers wrote down. Even our patriarchs and the ones that our forefathers that was before the flood, like Enoch and Noah and all those. They wrote down stuff, and that was for us. But our enemies got a hold of our records, and then, like I said, they idol worshipers. So they got a hold of our records, and they created this Jesus Christ. We had a redeemer from day one in Genesis chapter 1, when the Most High came down and returned to the earth after he had destroyed it and shined a light on it. And his Bible tells you that it was the angel of the Lord was with him, moving on the waters. We just ain't reading it right because we're being programmed. We ain't reading it right. So our Redeemer been there all the time. So every chance I get, I'm trying to show you how they did that. It's called typology. And they just looked. They got a hold of our records, and then when they just went to the New Testament when they created this character at the Council of Nicaea, because they needed it when Constantine revived the Roman Empire. The beast that was and was not, but yet lived. Rome got sacked. Got a wound in the head. The capital city got sacked. So then it was Constantine came on the scene, revived it, and he needed a religion to hold it together and to keep it, to unified, and he needed God to go with that religion. So we had our records right there. So all they did was, he had these Edomites with him. Eve was the ringleader, and they created this God. And it's like I said, you got Israelites and Christians alike and Muslims, all that out there. That sound ludicrous to them, but before it's all over with, we're gonna find out what time it is, because the Most High is gonna bring the truth to the light. So we're gonna look at this right here. Like I said, they saw what happened in the Old Testament. They saw how it worked. They saw how God worked. They denigrated ours. God, He allowed it to happen, and they brought this character on the scene, Jesus Christ. And here goes some examples. Another example of how they done it. I want to show it to you. We can, check it out and ponder on it. So I'm gonna show you in Daniel first. That's the Lord of hosts is our God. The Lord of hosts ain't Yahweh. He's appointed by Yahweh over Yahweh's host. And so we're gonna look at it right here. And they got you thinking that this character Jesus is in the Old Testament, but he ain't in the Old Testament. So I mean, Daniel. Let me get it. Yeah, Daniel chapter 10. Okay. And I want you to see this, because it's like I said, plain as day. So this is where Daniel met our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts, right here. But these one of the times he encountered him, dealt with him. So I'm starting in I'm in chapter 10 of Daniel. I'm gonna start at verse 1. But my punchline is verses 5, 6, and 5 and 6. So it says, in the third year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a thing was revealed unto Daniel, whose name was called Belteshazzar. And the thing was true, but the time appointed was long, and he understood the thing, and he had understanding of the vision. In those days, I, Daniel, was mourning 3 full weeks, and I ate no pleasant bread, neither came flesh nor wine in my mouth, neither did I anoint myself at all, till 3 whole weeks were fulfilled. And in the 4th and 20th day of the first month, as I was by the side of the river, which is Hiddekel, here we go. Then I lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man, clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with fine gold or Upas. His body also was like beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like the color of polished brass, and the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude. Right? Then it says, so, and I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, for the men that were with me saw not the vision, but a great quaking fell upon them, so they fled to hide themselves. So Daniel alone saw this man, which we know is an angel, Lord of hosts. He saw this man. So let's go to Genesis right quick. I want to make a point for these naysayers out there. So I'm in Genesis chapter 18. This ain't gonna take long. Genesis 18, picking up in verse 1. And the Lord, I'm telling you, the Lord of hosts ain't Yahweh. So he says he's an angel. So Genesis 18, verse 1 says, and the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, this is the Lord of hosts, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. So we're going to verse 2. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself toward the ground. So these 3 men, they angels, right? These 3 angels that showed up. That's a Bible 101 or a Torah 101. So it's three men came, 3 angels. Verse 3, and he said, my Lord. So one of these angels is the Lord, not Yahweh. He says, and he said, my Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. Then he says, let a little water, I pray you, be fetched, and I will wash your feet and rest yourselves under the tree. So now we see where they get the story trying to wash JC feet. See right here? He's talking to the Lord. He said, and he said, my Lord, if I found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. Let a little water, I pray thee, be fetched, and I will wash your feet. So this way, I'm just showing you how they got all this information and they concocted this story in the New Testament. So it's 3 angels came. Yahweh ain't with them. So let's go back to Daniel. So we in Daniel chapter 10, Daniel by the river. Let me show you this. Daniel by the river, you see this man clothed in linen, right? So let's go to chapter, let me make sure I'm in the right place. Go to chapter, okay, chapter 8. Chapter 8 and chapter 8, verse 1. Starting at verse 1 says, In the third year, remember, 3 men came with Abraham. One of them was the Lord in Genesis chapter 18. Now we in Daniel chapter 8. It says, in the third year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me, Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at first. And I saw in a vision, and it came to pass when I saw it, I was at Shushan in the palace, which is in the province of Elam, and I saw in a vision, and I was by the river. See that? By the river. That's where Daniel was at, by the river. Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram. Okay, we can keep going. Let's see. Okay, let me keep it. I want to place him by the river. Is what I'm trying to do. So, okay. So, right. So he says, and I was reading in verse 8. Says, then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had 2 horns, and the 2 horns were high, and one horn was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. So what I'm showing you is they by the river. So this is the same river that was in chapter 10. Now we're gonna go to chapter 12. And like I said, I showed you that 3 men came, all 3 of them angels in chapter 18. Now I'm in chapter 12 of Daniel. And so from 7 all the way to 12, it's the same story, same thing going on. You know, he's by this river. So 12, chapter 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up. See that? Michael. He's the angel. It don't say JC. It says Michael shall stand up, the great prince. See that? The great prince who standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even at the same time. And at that time, look at this, at that time, not when JC come back, but at this time, at that time when it's thy people shall be delivered, right? Got to be the deliverer to deliver them. Everyone that shall be found written in the book, right? Ain't no New Testament right here. It says, and many of them that shall sleep in the dust shall awake to everlasting life, and some shall shame and everlasting contempt. We going somewhere. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars of heaven forever and ever. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words, seal the book, even to the time of the end. That's where we at now. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Then here we go. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood the other 2. There go 3. Same 3 came to Abraham. One of them was the Lord of hosts, our Redeemer, right? Yahweh ain't there, he in heaven. So it says, then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there are the other 2. One on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river. And the one said to the man clothed in linen, see that? He just described the man clothed in linen in Daniel chapter 10. He had eyes like fire, and you know, his hair like lamb's wool. That's how he looked. They look like us. Our God look like we do. We was made in their image. So he says, and one said to the man clothed in linen. See that? It's the man that was described in Daniel chapter 10. It ain't JC. So he says, and the one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, how long shall it be to the end of these wonders? And I heard the man clothed in linen. We're gonna make sure we know this is not Yahweh. I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand under heaven. To who? Why he holding his hands up to heaven? Because he holding up to Yahweh, his Redeemer, the one that formed him in the beginning, like Enoch told us. He formed 7 angels in the beginning. The first one he formed was Michael. That's the Redeemer, the strong one of Israel. So he says, and I swore by him that liveth forever. See, he holding his hands up to heaven, swearing by somebody else that liveth forever and ever. That's Yahweh, right? And I swore by him that liveth forever and ever, and it shall be for a time and a half a time, when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people. All these things shall be finished. Now, I showed you there. I showed you the 3 men in Genesis. They're angels. None of them ain't Yahweh. I showed the 3 men right here. Daniel dealt with them right here. And I showed you in Daniel 10, he described the man clothed in linen, which is the Lord of hosts. He described it. Now let's go to the New Testament. This ain't JC. Now, we in the New Testament, right? New Testament chapter. Well, let me go to one more place over here before I go to the New Testament. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, okay. Revelation chapter 19 in the New Testament. Well, we're going to go to chapter 1 first. Revelation chapter 1. I showed you who this man was that's clothed in linen, hair like lamb wool, and eyes like flames of fire. It's Lord of hosts. Now we over here after they got hold to our records. I'm in Revelation chapter 1, verse 9. Start reading. I, John, who also am your brethren and your companion in the tribulation and in the kingdom and the patience of Jesus Christ. See that? Here go Jesus Christ. Was in the isles of called Patmos for the word of God and for the testimony of Jesus Christ. And I was in the spirit on the Lord's day. And I heard behind me a great voice of a trumpet saying, I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last. And what thou seest, write in the book and send it unto the 7 churches which are in Asia Minor, in Asia, unto Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamos, and unto Tyrannica, and to Sardis, and unto the Philadelphia, and unto Laodicea. And I turned to see the voice that spake with me, and being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks, and in the midst of the 7 golden candlesticks, one like the Son of Man. You know, why here you go. He get a complete transformation, a whole new character. Here you go. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like the Son of Man, clothed, same thing Daniel seen, clothed with a garment down to his feet, girded about with a path of a golden girdle. His head, see that? And his hair were white like wool and white as snow, and his eyes were a flame of fire, and his feet like unto the brass, and they burned as burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. It's the Lord of hosts over in Daniel chapter 10. Now it's JC. They did away with him. Now let's go one more place. Then we're gonna go to Ezekiel 37. Okay, I'm in chapter 19 of Revelations. I'm starting at I'm in chapter 12. Let me see where I'm at. 19, verse 12 says, I'm gonna start at verse 1, Revelation 19, verse 11. And I saw heaven open. Look at this. I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. And in the righteousness he doeth judge and make war. His eyes, here you go. His eyes were a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written that no man knoweth but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood. And his name is called a Wonderful Word. See that? Now, Michael is the Lord of hosts. He's the Lord over all of Yahweh's armies. He's second in command. That's why he came and made Joseph second in command. He made Mordecai second in command because that's where he ruling from. So let's look at it. So now it says 14. I mean, you can fumble with it if you want. So 14 says, and the armies which were in heaven followed him. That's the biggest lie I've been told on this planet. See that? And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon a white horse. Clothed, look at this, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. See that? Now you can chew on that, do what you want to do with it, or you let it roll off like water on a duck bag. I'm showing it to you, point blank. Okay? So now let's go to 37 right quick. Make sure I get this right. Okay. Yeah. So we see right here that they switched it up on us. Our Redeemer in the Old Testament, we see who it was. Give you one more verse. It's just for GP, like I said, for connect the dots for people that want to know the truth. So this point blank. Judges chapter 2. Judges chapter 2, verse 1. And the angel, see that? I mean, I'm telling you, since I started talking, who was over Israel. And who's running the Most High? Who's the Most High strong one? Every kingdom got a strong one, strong man, the second in charge. That's where they get it from what they saw in heaven, what they saw the angels and what Yahweh was doing. So chapter 2, verse 1. And the angel of the Lord came up from Gilead. This we're getting ahead of ourselves because this is what we're going to talk about in discussion. See, and the angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Bethel and said, I made you. Look at this. Not Yahweh, not Jesus, not David. I made you to go up out of Egypt. The angel's telling them that. And I have brought you, not Yahweh, I have brought you unto the land which I swore unto your fathers. And I said, I will never break my covenant. See that? You know, I know you got the Christians and the rabbis going to holler, yeah, Most High sending angels to do this. But he telling you right here, you know, I'm the one with the covenant. He said, I brought you out of Egypt, and I'm the one with the covenant. See that? He said, and I would never break my covenant with you. And Yahweh ain't got no covenant with him. He got the covenant. And ye shall make no league with the inhabitants of this land, and ye shall throw down their altars, but ye have not obeyed my voice. Why have you done this? So why would he say that? You haven't obeyed his voice. Exodus chapter 23, verse 20. This the Lord, I hope this Yahweh on Mount Sinai that came down on Mount Sinai talking to Moses, and he said, behold, I sent an angel, Lord of hosts, before thee to keep thee in the way, to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, obey my voice. He telling them that in Judges, because the Most High told him on Mount Sinai to obey to him. Obey this angel. He the one I didn't put over him. He the one that he gave you to me. That's why he's saying I inherited. So he says, beware of him, obey his voice, and provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. I don't think I need to go any further. For the, like he said, those who have ears to hear, let them hear, and those who have eyes to see, let them see. Okay? Christians and everybody else, you can fumble with it and grapple, do whatever you want to do with it. So I just want to shine a light on that, make sure I put that out there every now and then so people can understand where I'm coming from. So, any comments with that? Okay. Nobody have no comments. I'm going to go to the topic for discussion. And that topic for discussion, like I said, is Gilgal and saying the importance of it. So, the Gilgal is a place. Gilgal. And so, back where I was at just a minute ago, like I said, I'm back where I was at. I'm back in Judges chapter 2. I'm gonna read that. So now that we know what's going on and who the strong one over Israel is, it says chapter 2. And the angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Bethel, right? And he said, I made you to go up out of Egypt, and I have brought you into the land which I swore unto your fathers. And I said, I will never break my covenant with you, and ye shall make no league with this land, right? Ye shall throw down their altars, but ye have not obeyed my voice. Why have ye done this? Wherefore also I said, I will not drive them out. It's the angel, right? I will not drive them out from before thee, but they shall be as a thorn in your side, and their gods, these elves, other angels, their elves shall be a snare unto you. And it came to pass when the angel of the Lord spake these words. See that? I ain't writing. When the angel of the word spake these words unto all the children of Israel, that the people lifted up their voices and wept. And they called the name of the place Beckham, and they sacrificed there unto the Lord. See that? They sacrificed to the Lord, not to Yahweh. Yahweh ain't there. So he said in verse 4, it came to pass when the angel of the Lord spake these words. What words? Verse 1, and the angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Beckham and said, I made you to go up out of Egypt, right? Hope you got the earplugs out. and I have brought you into the land which I swore unto your fathers, and I said I would never break my covenant with you. Okay? Like I said, it's time to wake lions up. Let the sheep gone on about their business. Okay? So anyway, we're gonna go into this and see why he's saying that in this place, Gilgal. So now I'm in 1 Samuel. I read this a couple of weeks ago, but the Most High came check me in the middle of the night. That's why I'm back here reading it again. So, 1 Samuel. Like I say, you fumble with it, do what you want to do with it. So, I'm in 1 Samuel chapter 13. I got a couple of chapters to read. Okay? So we can make this plain. Okay, so just during the time of Saul and Jonathan. He gave them Saul. They wanted a king. They already had the Lord of hosts as their king, but they wanted this angel our forefathers was dealing with in Egypt and at Mount Sinai. They had already had him. He was king over them. Moses had already gave the Israelites to him. He came and delivered them out of Egypt, but they wanted a king like the other nations. They wanted a strong, tall man, a giant, a descendant from the Nephilim over them. So he gave him Saul. So Saul was given a commandment by Samuel. The Lord of hosts gave Samuel a commandment to get Saul to go to the Amalekites. Let's pick it up in 13. Saul reigned 1 year. This is 1 Samuel chapter 13. Saul reigned 1 year. And when he had reigned 2 years over Israel, Saul chose him 3,000 men of Israel, whereof 2,000 were with Saul at Mimash, I can't say this word, Michmash, and in Mount Bethel. And 1,000 were with Jonathan at Gilead of Benjamin. And the rest of the people he sent every man to his tent. And Jonathan smote the garrison of the Philistines that were in Geba. And the Philistines heard of it, and Saul blew the trumpet and throughout all the land, saying, "Let the Hebrews hear." And all Israel heard that Saul had smitten a garrison of Philistines, that Israel also was had in abomination with the Philistines, and the people were called together after Saul. Here we go. After Saul to Gilgal. That's what the angel was at. It's just in Judges chapter 2. Right? He didn't just happen to come up in Gilgal. There's a reason why he dealing with this place. Right? So 5. And the Philistines gathered themselves together to fight with Israel. 30,000 chariots, 6,000 horsemen, and the people as the sands which is on the seashore in a multitude. And they came up and pitched at Michmash, whatever, eastward from Beth-Haven. And when the men of Israel saw that there was a strait, for the people are distressed, then the people did hide themselves in caves and thickets and in rocks and in high places and in the pits. So let's look at that. Some of these same people was hadn't recently came out of Egypt. And we see this angel that wanted to deliver them out of Egypt with a mighty hand, with 10 plagues. And now he got a garrison of Philistines that came up, and they already done ran and hid. See that? They done ran and hid. See that? Ain't no difference in the day. So like here, because they don't know who their God is, look, they ran and hid. So it says, they hid themselves in the caves and the thicket and the rocks and the high places and in the pits. And some of the Hebrews went over the Jordan to the land of Gad and Gilead. As for Saul, he was yet in Gilgal. There it is again. And all the people followed him trembling, right? So 8, and he tarried 7 days according to the set time that Samuel had appointed. But Samuel came not to Gilgal, and the people were scattered from him. And Saul said, "Bring hither burnt offering to me and peace offering, and offer the burnt offerings." And it came to pass that as soon as he had made an end of offering the burnt offerings, behold, Samuel came. And Saul went out to meet him that he might salute him. And Samuel said, what hast thou done? And Saul said, because I saw that the people were scattered from me, and that thou comest not within the days appointed, and that the Philistines scattered themselves together at Mizpah. Therefore said I, Philistines will come down are now upon me at Gilgal, and I have made supplications unto the Lord, and force myself therefore and offer the burnt off. So let's look at that. So Samuel is the voice of the Most High. Saul is the king. The king can't make no sacrifices. So he took upon himself to make the sacrifices. He didn't wait on Samuel. He got found himself in a pickle and panicked, and he ran and made the sacrifices. That's an abomination. He made the sacrifices himself. When Saul showed up and saw what he had done, you know, he telling him, you can't do that. What you doing? So we're going to verse 13. And Samuel said to Saul, thou hast done foolishly. See that? A lot of Negroes doing it today. Thou hast done foolishly. Thou hast not kept the commandments of the Lord thy God, which he commanded thee. For now would the Lord have established thy kingdom upon Israel forever. But now thy kingdom shall not continue. The Lord hath sought him a man after his own heart. See, this is the man right here. This is the Messiah right here. Whoever this is, he hath sought him a man after his own heart. And the Lord hath commanded him to be a captain. See that? Same position he in. He Lord of the Most High on me, captain over the Lord's on me in Joshua. Let's look at it. We're gonna walk the dog on it. We're in Joshua chapter 5. So they fumbling with titles to throw you off. Joshua chapter 5, verse 13. It said Jericho. And it came to pass when Joshua was by Jericho that he lifted up his eyes. Same thing Daniel did, lifted up his eyes and looked. And behold, there stood a man, an angel, over against him with a sword drawn in his hand. We know who that is. That's Michael. And Joshua went unto him and said unto him, art thou for us or for the adversary? And he said, the angel said, nay, but as captain, as Lord of the hosts of the Lord's Lord, I am now come. See that? So we ain't gonna fumble with it. Now we back over here. So he made Saul captain over his armies, right? And to be captain over his people, because thou hast not kept. He's gonna make David captain over his people, Lord over his people. Because thou hast not kept that which the Lord commanded thee. And Samuel arose and gathered him up from Gilead unto Gilbert of Benjamin, and Saul numbered the people that were present with him, about 600 men. And Saul and Jonathan, his son, and the people that were present with them abode in Gilboa of Benjamin. But the Philistines encamped in Mizpah. So let's look at that. So they keep mentioning that Geba of Benjamin. So what is this Geba of Benjamin? Saul is a Benjamite. He's from the tribe of Benjamin, right? And the capital city within the tribe of Benjamin is this place Geba. So Saul, being that he's the king over Israel, he's the focus is on Benjamin because he's he come out of Benjamin. But you got to remember, before they came into the land of Israel, when they was in the wilderness, Balaam made a prophecy. He said a man is coming, right? That's out of Judah. It's a man coming out of Judah, and the scepter is never going to leave Judah. He's going to be, that's the Messiah. So he just told Samuel, you messed up. He already got a man. He already got a man. He already dealing with you out of Judah that he chose, his Messiah. You put all on him. That's all Messiah means. So we know what that is. So 17 says, and the spoilers came out of the camp of the Philistines in 3 companies. One company turned into the way that leaded to Ophir, and the other unto the land of Shur. And another company turned by the way of Bethhorn, and another company turned to the way of the border that looked to the valley of Zebulun toward the wilderness. Now there was no smith. Okay, let's look at this. Now there was no smith found throughout all the land of Israel. For the Philistines said, lest the Hebrews make them swords or spears. So the smith sharpens all these war, all these tools and instruments that that they need for war and for farming. So 20. But all the Israelites went down to Philistines to sharpen every man his share and his culture and his axe and his mattock. Yet they had a file for the mattock and for the coulters and for the forks and for the axes to sharpen the goads. 22. So it came to pass in that day, in the day of battle, check it out. So it came to pass in the day of battle that there was neither sword nor spear found in the land of any of the people that were with Saul and Jonathan. But with Saul and Jonathan and his son was there found. So they sword sharp, greased up and sharp. Jonathan and Saul's sword. Okay, now we're in chapter 14. Jonathan smites the Philistines. Now it came to pass upon the day that Jonathan, the son of Saul, said unto the young man that bore his armor, come. Jonathan by himself, right? Says, come and let us go over to the Philistine garrison. They in a pickle with these Philistines. This garrison of Philistines and came up against them to battle with them. So that is on the other side, but he told not his father. And Saul tarried in the uttermost parts of Geba under a pomegranate tree, which is in Migron. And the people that were with him were about 600 men. And Ahiah, the son of Ahijah, I can't say his name, two brother, son of Phinehas, son of Eli, the Lord's priest, in Shiloh, wearing an ephod, and the people knew not that Jonathan was gone. And between the passages by which Jonathan sought to go over unto the Philistine garrison, there was a sharp rock on one side and a sharp rock on the other side. And the name of the one was Buzet, and the other name was Shina. And the forefront of one was situated northward, and the northward over against Michmash, and the other southward over against Gabor. And Jonathan said to the young man that bore his armor, come, let us go up over the garrison of these uncircumcised, and it may be that the Lord will work for us, for there is no restraint to the Lord to save by many or by few. So Jonathan got a little sense. He said, it's nothing that the Most High the Lord host can't do. So 7, and his armor bearer said unto him, do all that's in thine heart, turn thee, behold, I am with thee according to thy heart. Then said Jonathan, behold, we will pass over unto these men, and we will discover ourselves unto them. And if they say unto us, tarry until we come to you, then we will stand in our place, and we will not go up unto them. But if they shall say, come up to us, then we will go up, for the Lord hath delivered them into our hands, and this shall be the sign unto us. So these Philistines go back to Goliath. He came out and he challenged the Israelites. Every chance he got, he challenged them. Same thing right here. So it's only Jonathan and his armor bearer, and they can come up on this garrison of Philistines. So he said, if they come out there and tell them to come on up here, let me see what you got, then we know the Most High behind it. But if they don't, we're going to do something else. So verse 11 says, and both of them discovered themselves into the garrison of the Philistines, and the Philistines said, behold, the Hebrews come forth out of the holes. See, they marking them out of the holes where they have hid themselves. And the men of the garrison answered Jonathan and his armor bearer and said, come on, what you got? Come up to us, and we will show you a thing. And Jonathan said unto his armor bearer, come up after me, and the Lord have delivered them unto the hands of Israel. Look at this. And Jonathan climbed up upon his hands and upon his feet, and his armor bearer after him, and they fell before Jonathan, and his armor bearer slew after him. So Jonathan killed all of them by himself with his armor bearer. See that? It says 14, and that first slaughter which Jonathan had and his armor bearer made was about 20 men. See that? Within as it were a half acre land, which a yoke of oxen might plow. And there was trembling in the host, in the field, and among all the people, the garrison, and the spoilers, and they all trembled, and the earth quaked. So it was a very great trembling. See that? That's how the Most High worked. So 16, and the watchmen of Saul and Gabor and Benjamin looked, and behold, the multitude melted away, and they went all beating down to one another. Then said Saul unto the people that were with him, number now and see who's gone from us. And when they had numbered, behold, Jonathan and his armor bearer were not there. And Saul said unto Ahu, bring hither the ark of God, for the ark of God was at that time the children of Israel. And it came to pass, while Saul talked unto the priest, that the noise that was in the host of the Philistines went on and increased. And Saul said unto the priest, withdraw thine hand. So we're going to see what's happening right here. 20. And Saul said, and Saul and all the people that were with him assembled themselves, and they came to the battle. And behold, see, Saul coming to the battle to fight, but look, the Most High already doing his work. So he says, and behold, every man's sword was against his fellow, and there was a very great discomfort. So the Most High turned them in against each other. I'm hoping you listening to this. So the Lord hosts to turn them in against each other. Saul ain't got to fight. Moreover, the Hebrews that were with the Philistines before that time, which went up with them into the camp from the country round about, even they also turned to be with the Israelites that were with Saul and Jonathan. Likewise, all the men of Israel which had hid themselves in the mount of Ephraim, when they heard that the Philistines fled, even they also followed hard after them in the battle. And so the Lord saved Israel that day, and the battle passed over until Beth-haven, right? It says, and the men of Israel were distressed that day, for Saul had adjured the people, saying, cursed be the man that eateth any food until evening, that I may be avenged on my enemies. So none of the people tasted any food. And all they of the land came to the wood, and there was honey upon the ground. And when the people were come into the woods, behold, the honey dropped, but no man put his hand to his mouth, for the people feared the oath. And Jonathan heard not when his father charged the people with the oath. Wherefore he put forth the end of his rod that was in his hand, and dipped it in the honeycomb, and put his hand to his mouth, and his eyes were enlightened. Then answered one of the people and said, here go the Christian right here, and the rabbi and the Arab. Thy father straightly charged the people with an oath, saying, cursed be the man that eateth any food this day. And the people were faint. Then said Jonathan, my father had troubled the land. See, I pray you, how mine eyes have been enlightened, because I tasted a little of this honey. How much more, if happily the people that had eaten freely today of the spoils of their enemies, which they found, for had there not been now much greater slaughter among the Philistines, and they smote the Philistines that day from Michmash to Ajalon, and the people were very faint. And the people flew upon the spoils, and took the sheep and the oxen, the calves, and slew them on the ground. And the people did not did eat with the blood. Then they told Saul, saying, behold, the people sin against the Lord in the day in that they eat with the blood. And he said, ye have transgressed. Roll a great stone unto me this day. And Saul said, disperse yourselves among the people, and say unto them, bring me hither every man his ox, and every man his sheep, and slay them here, and eat, and sin not against the Lord, in eating with the blood. And all the people brought every man his ox with him that night, and slew them there. And Saul built an altar unto the Lord, and the same was the first altar that he had built unto the Lord. And Saul said, let us go down after the Philistines by night, and spoil them until the morning light, and let us not leave a man of them. And they said, do whatsoever seemeth good unto thee. Then said the priest, let us draw nigh near hither unto God. And Saul asked counsel of God, shall I go down after the Philistines, or wilt thou deliver them into the hands of the Lord? Check it out. So he inquired of the Lord, right? He already made these sacrifices that he wasn't supposed to. So But he answered him not. Lord, they answered him. And Saul said, draw ye. So he feeling a certain type of way. So he said, draw here neither hither all the chiefs of the people, and know and see wherein this sin have been this day. For as the Lord liveth, which saveth Israel, though it be in Jonathan my son, I shall surely die. He shall surely die, but there was not a man among the people that answered him. Then said he unto all Israel, be ye on one man, and I and Jonathan that my son will be on the other side. And the people said unto Saul, do what seemeth good unto thee. Therefore Saul said unto the Lord God of Israel, give a perfect lot. And Saul and Jonathan were taken, but the people escaped. And Saul said, cast lots between me and Jonathan, my son, and Jonathan was taken. Okay. 43. Then Saul said to Jonathan, tell me what thou hast done. And Jonathan told him and said, I did but taste a little honey with the end of the rod that was in my hand, and lo, I must die. And Saul answered, God do so, and the more also, for thou shalt surely die, Jonathan. And the people said unto Saul, Saul, shall Jonathan die, who have wrought this great salvation in Israel? God forbid. As the Lord liveth, there shall not be one hair on his head fall to the ground, for he have wrought with God this day. So the people rescued Jonathan, that he died not. Then Saul went up from following the Philistines, and the Philistines went to their own place. Okay, so Saul took the kingdom over Israel and fought against all his enemies on every side, against Moab, against the children of Ammon, against Edom, and against the kings of Zabar, against the Philistines, and whithersoever he turned himself, he vexed them, and he gathered a host, and smote the Amalekites, and delivered Israel out of the hands of them that spoiled them. Now the sons of Saul were Jonathan, Ishu, Mekishah, and the names of the two daughters were these. The name of the firstborn was Morup, and the name of the younger was Michelle, and the name of Saul's wife was Ahimana, I don't know that name, and the daughter of Amaz. And the name of the captain of the host, here we go, captain of the host was Abner, the son of Ner, Saul's uncle. So I keep telling people back over and over again, Saul was from the lineage of these fallen angels. He's head and shoulders taller than everybody else. That's why they wanted him to be the king. So all you gotta do is do your research. So it says right here, the name of the captain of the host was Abner, the son of Ner. These are all these giants, and Saul's uncle. So when you go do the research, you'll find out Abner was a mighty man. He descended from the giants. So if he saw uncle, Saul from the same lineage, right? So it says, and Kish was the father of Saul, and Ner, the father of Abner, was the son of Abiel. So go and do research on these men right here. It says, and there was a sore war against the Philistines all the days of Saul. And when Saul saw any strong man, see that, or any valiant man, he took him unto himself. So I read all that to read this right here. So chapter 15, Saul acts to destroy Amalek, right here. You can take this and apply it to the day, okay, to hundreds and thousands of Israelites. Samuel also said unto Saul, the Lord sent me to anoint thee to be king over his people, over Israel. Now therefore hearken thou unto the voice of the words of the Lord. Thus said the Lord of hosts, I remember that which the Amalekites did to Israel, how they laid wait for him in the way when he came up out of Egypt. Now go smite the Amalekites and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and beast, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass. Let's go back and read it again. This is the Lord of hosts talking. Verse 2. Thus said the Lord of hosts. See that? Lord of hosts. I remember that which Amalekite did to Israel, how he laid waste him in the way when he came up out of Egypt. Now, it's the Lord of hosts giving them commandment. Now go smite the Amalekite, utterly destroy all that they have. So that everything they got, sheep, oxen, everything, right? And spare not. See that? This was coming, right? But slay both man and woman. See this? Man and woman, infant and suckling. See that? Ox, sheep, camel, and ass. This is what people now they ain't registered with a lot of folks. See? So 4. And Saul gathered people together and numbered them from Telam 200,000 footmen and 10,000 men of Judah. And Saul came to the city of Amalek and laid waste in the valley. Right? Remember what he told him to do. 6. And Saul said to the Canaanites, go depart, get ye down from among the Amalekites, lest I destroy you with them. For ye showed kindness to all the children of Israel when they came up out of Egypt. So the Canaanites departed from among the Amalekites. And Saul smote the Amalekites from Havilah unto the coming of Shur, that is over against Egypt. And he took Agag, the king of the Amalekites, alive. He told him to kill all of them, and utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword. But Saul and the people spared Agag. See that? And the best of the sheep and the oxen, of the fatling and the lambs, and all that was good, and would not utterly destroy them, but everything that was vile and refused, that they destroyed utterly, right? So 10, then came the word of the Lord unto Samuel, saying, it repenteth me that I have set up Saul to be king, for he hath turned back from following me, and he hath performed my commandments, and it grieved Samuel. And he cried unto the Lord all night. And when Samuel rose early to meet Saul in the morning, it was told Samuel, saying, Saul came to Carmel, and behold, he set him up a place, and is gone about, and passed on, and gone down to Gilgal. See that? 13. And Samuel came to Saul, and Saul said unto him, blessed be thou of the Lord. I have performed the commandments of the Lord. He ain't, see that? He ain't performed. That's what we had. We got 100,000 Israelites now. Think they doing the right thing. And they ain't doing the right thing. And there's repercussions to it. So he says, and Samuel came to Saul and said unto him, blessed be the Lord. I have performed the commandments of the Lord. 14. And Samuel said, what meaneth then this bleating of the sheep in mine ears, and the lowing of the oxen which I hear? And Saul said, they have brought them from the Amalekites, for the people spared the best of the sheep and the oxen to sacrifice unto the Lord thy God, and the rest we have utterly destroyed. Then Samuel said unto Saul, stay, and I will tell thee what the Lord hath said unto me this night. And he said unto him, stay on. And Samuel said, when thou wast little in thine own sight, look at this, when thou wast little in thine own sight, in your own mind, yeah, was thou or was thou not made the head of the tribe of Israel? And the Lord anointed thee king over Israel. And the Lord sent thee on a journey and said, go and utterly destroy the sinners of the Amalekites and fight against them until they be consumed, all of them. Wherefore then didst thou not obey the voice of the Lord, but thou didst fly upon the spoils and didst evil in the sight of the Lord. And Saul said unto the Samuel, yea, I have obeyed the voice. See that? This was a rabbi and a Christian, and the Christian Hebrew Israelite. And Saul said unto Samuel, yea, I have obeyed the voice of the Lord, and have gone the way which the Lord sent me, and have brought Agag, king of the Amalekites, and have utterly destroyed the Amalekites. But the people took of the spoils, the sheep and the oxen, and the chief things which should have been utterly destroyed, and sacrificed to sacrifice unto the Lord thy God at Gilgal, right? And Samuel said, have the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings and in sacrifices as in obeying the voice of the Lord. Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. For the rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity of idolatry, because thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, he have also rejected thee from being king. And Saul said unto the Samuel, I have sinned, I have transgressed the commandments of the Lord, and thy words become words, because I feared the Lord and obeyed their voice. I feared the people and obeyed their voice. See that? They feared that they didn't put the Most High, Lord of hosts, and Most High word on shelf. And they going along with what the people saying. Say, and I feared the people and I obeyed his voice, their voice. Now, therefore, I pray thee, look at this, pardon my sin. Turn again with me that I may worship the Lord. And Samuel said unto Saul, I will not return with thee, for thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, and the Lord hath rejected thee from being king over Israel. And as Samuel turned about to go away, he laid hold onto the skirt of his mantle, and it rent. And Samuel said unto him, the Lord hath rent the kingdom of Israel from thee this day, and have given it to thy neighbor of thine that is better than thou. And also the strength of Israel would not lie nor repent, for it is not a man that he should repent. Then he said, I have sinned, yet honor me. See that? Then he said, I have sinned, yet honor me. See that? I pray thee before the elders of my people and before Israel, and turn again with me that I may worship the Lord thy God. See that? This is a prime example of what I'm talking about. So he says, when the truth comes, you fumble with it, and then when it all unfolds, now you wanna. He says, then said he, I have sinned. He know he's sinned, yet honor me. How you gonna be honored if you done sinned?
Right.
You fumble with the Most High word, and then he says, I pray thee before the elders of my people. Now he worried about the people. He worried about how the people gonna look, and that's I keep saying it over and over again. I can give a damn about what the people say. Well, hope Most High showed me something and lay it out. I'm gonna lay it out. You can do what you want to do with it. So he says, and before Israel, and turn again with me that I may worship the Lord thy God. See that? So Samuel turned again after Saul, and Saul worshiped the Lord. Then 32. Then said Samuel, bring ye hither me Agag, the king of the Amalekites. And Agag came unto him delicately. And Agag said, surely the bitterness of death is past. So he trying to bullshit Samuel like he bullshitted Saul. But 33, Samuel said, as the sword, this is what I was telling you about, recompense. As Samuel said, as thy sword have made women childless, so shall thy mother be childless among women. See that? But go up, got to come back down. And Samuel hewed Agag into pieces before the Lord in Gilgal. Then Samuel went to Ramah, and Saul went up to his house to Gilboa as Saul of Saul, and Samuel came no more to see Saul until the day of his death. Nevertheless, Samuel mourned for Saul, and the Lord repented that he had made Saul king over Israel. So you see that. So like I said before, you can't. Agag had bullshitted Saul, because Saul had this. He marveled at Agag because he was a descendant from the giants. And he had a tall and crown on his head and all that. He marveled at him, and he was able to hoodwink him where he didn't kill him. But Samuel wasn't going for it. So let's look at another situation. He told us the Gentiles are enemies. So how is he gonna and all that the Gentiles have done to Israel, how is he gonna reward a wicked ass Gentile, a Hebrew Israelite man or a Hebrew Israelite woman? It don't work like that. He's fumbling with it. And it's gonna come back on him. So anyway, so I read all that. I see where Saul continuously messed up, right? Now we get to chapter 16. I'm gonna read the first couple of verses to show you the Messiah. So he ain't just show up on the back of a watermelon truck. So chapter 16 says, and the Lord said unto Samuel, how long wilt thou mourn for Saul? He threw with Saul, seeing I have rejected him from reigning over Israel. Fill thine horn with oil and go. This is the Lord of hosts talking, will send thee to Jesse. See that? Jesse, the Bethlehemite. He in Bethlehem. Go back to what I told you about the typology. That's why JC from Bethlehem. To Jesse, the Bethlehemite, for I have provided me, the Most High, Lord of hosts, a king among his people. So he went and anointed David his Messiah, right? Well, let's go to Isaiah, and I'm gonna open it up for some questions or comments. So he anointed David. David from Bethlehem. Jesse is his father, right? You tell me how you get JC out of this. So I'm in Isaiah chapter 11. Isaiah chapter 11. So it says, two witnesses. Verse 1 says, and there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse. See that? Not out of David. Not out of David. He says, there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots, right? Then 10. Say, verse 10. And in that day, it ain't happened yet, there shall be a root out of Jesse. See that? What's the root out of Jesse? David. Which shall stand for an ensign to the people. He's going to be the sign. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. See that? Then he's going to gather the Israelites. Verse 11. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again a second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left of Assyria, from Egypt, and from Patros, from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the isles of the sea. See that? And he shall set an ensign for the nations, and he shall assemble the outcasts of Israel and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Okay? So, with that being said, any comments or questions? Everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so like I said, you can go back and look at that, whatever you want to do with it. But like I said, it's time to to deal with the lions and let the sheep do what they're gonna do. But it's time to deal with the lions. We're at the end, very end. So with that being said, I'm gonna say get this lion over here. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so with that being said, I was gonna say that, we got Putin on the move, and we got all this stuff happening all of a sudden over the last couple of weeks. The game changed. So it's time to, like I said, deal with the lions and deal with the people that have ears to hear and eyes to see, and move on from there. That's where we at. The line ain't working, so I'm gonna close out. I'm gonna say shalom, everybody. I'll see y'all tomorrow at I'll see y'all tomorrow at 8 o'clock for Ask Brother Leonard. Shalom.
Shalom.